Beautiful people, we have a bounce. Finally, it's taking time for a bounce. Good news. We are starting to break quite a long trend on the daily for Total 3. So this is a nice little treat that we are seeing today. We are seeing now breakout here, which means we need to pay attention to quite a bit of entries in this zone here, specifically, midterm entries. We spoke about this push at any point. The market is going to trap everyone, right? Everyone's going so bad, right? That we're getting to kind of capitulation where a lot of people are just, I'm out, right? And I said very much, be careful. Okay, when sentiment goes really, really, really red, you have to be looking for the bounce. Not only are you looking for the bounce, you're looking for a very aggressive bounce. And if I look at the last 24 hours, pretty decent when it comes to a bounce and how quickly things can start to spark up. So a couple of coins I really want to speak about in today's show was 𝗬𝗏 is 27% up. Link is up. Okay, now again, we have a long road to recovery, but this is good signs. This is something where it's like, okay, we're going to see some strength. Okay, there's some opportunity to make some money. But secondly, as well, there might be an opportunity to offload some long-term portfolio on the pump, right? I'm seeing this pump continue. I'm seeing it being a real bounce, and I'm seeing this go up a lot more. Now, when we get to a certain area, though, we got to make a decision. And at least that then gets us into this mentality. If we're ever going to get out of our long-term portfolios, we get out on green, right? Then next that I also want to speak about is I want to go through some trades for today. I think there's a lot of trades in this market and there's money to be made. One that I've taken to let you guys know is Zcash, right? I spoke about Zcash pulling back, okay, into our very sexy zone. And I'm seeing a strong trade here. So I want to speak about that, okay? The account is looking good, guys. We saw my account was down to, I think, 38 yesterday on the show. We had $88,000, baby. So in a market that is down, if we look at here over the monthly, market that's down overall 20-25%, right? We are up 223%, and it hasn't even counted today's gains yet. So it should be around 300% up over the last 4 to 6 weeks, from $19,000 to $88,000 today, right? So again, I just want to keep going through how this is currently happening. I'm not 100% happy with my performance, right? A little bit volatile. Okay, and I want to speak about where I got wrong, where I got right, okay? But I want to show you how you can really build an account in this current market. So guys, nice to see a little bit of green. It's been a while, right? It's hard to believe, but we need to pay attention to what's happening, and we need to take advantage to the opportunities in the markets. No more wasting time. Let's go.
I try and help everyone in my space, and this is what I get. I try and fight the devils, but inside I'm just like sniper. Welcome to Sheldon Show.
Yes, squad, how are we doing? I see 60% are bullish. Nice. Now again, are we long-term bullish? We have to get through a certain barrier to turn long-term bullish. The more that we kind of dropped within Bitcoin, it did get me closer to thinking that Bitcoin's low or Bitcoin's high might be in for the cycle, right? But for me, again, I don't see the altcoin high being in yet. And we did have this in 21 where we had a 50% drop in Bitcoin. And after that, we did see altcoins break highs, and we did see a alt leg or alt season type of thing that we've been speaking about. So for me, I'm still quite optimistic around the altcoin rally, okay? But for me, when it comes to Bitcoin, I'm still not 100% convinced that we'll break the highs, right? So this is a good and a bad sign. The first one is, okay, if that's the highs, then we might get one more leg from alts. Okay, and then we kind of got to sit out the markets and, trade the market in bear for a little while, right? So again, that type of thing. But the second thing is as well, is when Bitcoin slows down and its high is in, that does then give opportunities for altcoins to go. Because basically now we're going to diversify, get out of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to start moving to alts, have the last rally in. Why do I think alt season is very important for a cycle? Because I believe it's exit liquidity for the market. Right? For me, it's if you send Bitcoin, yes, you get a lot of investors that get involved within Bitcoin, but you don't get a lot of retail. You don't get a lot of outside money to come into the market, right? And that's why for me at any point, alt season will happen at some point closer to the end of the cycle, because that's what gets millions and millions and millions of people to chase the pumps, to chase that euphoria, to chase that excitement, okay? Therefore creating quite a bit of volume and allows exit liquidity, allows to start exiting the market, right? And that's why for me, there will always be some sort of alt season closer to the end. Wow, there goes Zcash. There goes Zcash. Guys, make sure you follow me on Twitter. I did pop a tweet a couple of around about an hour ago that I went with Zcash long. Make sure you're following me and let me know if you did catch this. This might be gone for a little while over here. Quite crazy. But let's quickly go through a couple of things, guys. So again, I am still probably one of the last people on the planet that is still optimistic for a altcoin run, right? I've been speaking about, you know, us from here making a rally to the upside. Let's actually get to the right charts here, right? Something like this. This is Solana as an example, right? This is the 𝗨𝗟𝗃 over here. Something like this, right? I do have this on my radar and I do have this as a plan, and that for me would create a perfect exit. Is this thing ripping? We had $101,000. Wow. So it's taking me a little bit of time to grasp what's going on here. Wait. So crazy, you know, when there is dumps like this, it gets scary. But if you can just change your mind and look at opportunities, right? Look how fast we start to recover. Wow. $102,000. We hit the 100. We hit the six-figure mark from 19K in a very crappy market. Again, you got to sell, and we're going to speak about where I'm going to sell now. Okay, but geez, guys, so this is pretty cool. Go. Keep going. Just go more. Go more. Come on. I heard the like button makes this go higher. I heard. And then I heard when Sheldon, when this goes higher, he gets like quite excited and gives away a lot of money. I heard. This is just rumors, but I did hear that this is things that happen. Guys, I also just want to remind you, we're about a week away from live tradings. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're just fixing out a couple of structures and things behind the scenes. But we need to do this stuff together, man. We need to spend hours together and just trade these markets together. Let me know who's in, guys. Very cool. Nice little trade-off, so I'll speak. So let's go through. So again, for me, when it comes to this market, let's go back over here. I'm still a possible believer that this can happen, right? I still think Bitcoin dominance is going to drop quite aggressively. Okay, but again, I think Bitcoin's high can be in. And I think this will be the leg that we push. Okay, and then I do think that from there, we might see probably about Q2 next year, we do go into crazy bear territory. So let's jump straight into today's action. I'm a little bit stuck after seeing that move. Quite cool. Okay, breakout from Bitcoin. I told you guys that this dump for me was looking fake. The volume was a lot lower, right? It was coming down to sweep. And I said, it's probably very quick because we went far away from the momentum trend. It's probably going to be very quick where we're going to bounce, right? We saw the heat maps, and the heat maps were very much explaining that, you know, there's a lot of liquidity setting to the upside. So when the market bounces, it tends to bounce very aggressive. So what you're seeing now is you're seeing a nice 4-hour breakout, which means Bitcoin very likely at any point wants to make its way to $100,000. Now we've broken out, and we've got to realize that this might bring a retest. We're pulling back on Zcash. Okay, we're okay. We're at 95,000 now. Come on, come Bulls. All right, let's get some heat going here. We need. Come on, we need some pump. Let's go. Okay, so 2 plays for today, right? I'm quite bullish. I think Bitcoin's going to chase down 100K, right, at any point. The first one is pullback. If we pull back, it's not a big pullback. Straight into support. This is where you're looking for buying and new trade opportunities. For those who got in, I spoke about the Solana trade, right? I took the Sol trade yesterday, and that's what got my account back up, and that's why I'm in Zcash today. I'm still not holding coins for too long. I don't want to get stuck into holding trades and giving money back and things like that. So I just want to show you. I actually got out quite early on Solana. Just want to show you guys. So again, we fought the first day 2 days ago. I said, guys, I'm in, put a stop loss, got stopped out. Then I said yesterday, guys, I'm in again, right? On the pullback, I'm in, right? And from there, we rallied from 125 all the way up to $140. Okay, that took my account from around $32,000 to around $78,000, $80,000 in these areas here. Okay, and the important thing here is to kind of move with strength as we go, right? So something like this now, if you are sitting in some trades, you know, if you see another opportunity where another chart is looking sexier, right, and it makes sense. So for me, it was quite easy to get out of Sol because I was preparing for the Zcash. Because when Sol basically had that pop off, okay, I got out over here because I'm like, oh, maybe we're not going to get through the trend. Okay, but then I was like, what happens if we do get to the trend? I can put a stop in profits, I can make some cash, you know, no matter what. But then I looked at the other chart, which was Zcash, and I'm like, whoa, but this thing is coming to the main 618, right? So I'm definitely going to get out of Sol. I'm going to take a few hours break, and I'm going to get ready for the Zcash trade, right? Therefore, there was reason for me to exit because there was another trade ready to go. If you're in trades that are really starting to kill it now, and you don't see any other sexy trades, okay, that are really making a lot of sense, I do think holding for a little while longer can also be a good strategy. Us breaking this trend is a very good sign, right? Giving us an idea that we're going to have a nice little bounce off here. Now, again, I don't think this gets to the top yet, okay, but I do think there is a strong rally here. Then I think there's a trap. Then I think there's continuation over here, okay? So jumping back to Bitcoin here, if you can survive this pullback, I would hold my trades and put them at stop losses at entry, so you don't lose capital, right? Unless, again, you see a sexier chart, something else great, you can take some profits, start building a new position. Remember, building a position can take a couple of days, okay? So it took me, 3 days to get the Solana entry, and then I got paid, right? So the patience of building the entry is still one of the #1 rules for me, is the more time you spend on the entry, right, the better your trades will be, right? Because you're not paying attention to the wins or anything like that. You're actually paying attention to risk. You're paying attention to how can I not lose a lot of money and get the entry before it pops. Secondly, you're also fishing in a very hard area, right? It was not easy to buy here. If you looked at sentiments and where we're at, not easy, right? Very hard to commit. But remember, when the market comes down, your risk is getting lower, right? And that's what you're doing as a trader, is you're looking for low risk, high rewards. And the only time you get high rewards is when the market has really come down, right? Therefore, when the climbs happen, you know, your rewards are a lot bigger than the risk. Okay, so jumping back here, 2 plays on Bitcoin. The first one is we pull back to around 91, and then we make our way to 102. This trend line is indicating not a big pullback. So that means if you look at what we were doing with any coin, we've been going down, and now we broke up. Any levels that we broke here are now the new supports. That's where price will come. That's where it's going to look for a bounce, right? That's where it's going to look for the injection and the move to the upside. So if you missed this, there's no point chasing it. Okay, what you want to look at is to be on this side, looking for new entries in this area over here, right? So therefore, don't be afraid when the market turns red again and comes into support. That is the time where risk starts to shift down, okay? More of a bullish approach is we kind of rally up to 100. Then there will be a deeper pullback to around 90. Then we could see some climb move to the upside. Okay, so now looking at Alts as well, same thing. Alts are showing us either a small pullback into support, not a big pullback. Okay, let's remove this over here and just show you guys. Okay, so from here, pull back into the zone and then lift off, or higher up, then pull, then go. So again, don't chase, right? If you're buying new trades today, you're looking for things that are just breaking trends, right? That are just starting to show strength. So let's go through a couple over here. So here's Sol as an example, right? If I zoom in here and I see, okay, this is what the trend is that we broke. Okay, therefore my supports are sitting over here. Okay, so for me again, the way it looks now is we pull back into this zone and then we start pushing up. As we are pulling down, remember, you are going to get a trend. Okay, so if you look at this now, and I just zoomed in a little bit more, and this starts to now track down, right, you are going to get a trend. When that trend breaks is the execution point with a stop loss below. Okay, then we start to rally up. How high do I think the next pumps kind of go? Something like Sol, I do think we pump up to around 170. Then I think there is an opportunity for downside. Okay, maybe it changes. If Bitcoin breaks through 100, right, things may change. We might be going on to that exact scenario that I spoke about, where we decide to go for the highs on alts, right? Don't sit here and say it can't happen. It can definitely happen, right? Keep your mind and that's focused on that as well. When it comes to Zcash, I see it is pulling back a little bit. I want to speak around a entry here. Entry zones for Zcash, okay, are anywhere between 330 to 335 as one entry, and there's a little bit more at 321 as well, right? This is not a high leverage trade, right? You're looking at low leverage, okay, and you're looking at just catching the bigger move. I think Zcash from here is getting ready for a push up to $440, and the other one is around 475. Then I think it turns bearish over here. So an opportunity for me is if Zcash pulls back now a bit more, okay, back into the 330s and stuff, I do think it's a good entry. Where you want to kind of focus on stop losses as well, okay, is you want to look, if we look at this wave, this current wave we are forming now, okay, and I put this in here, good stop loss around 315. So take your entry, look at the amount of risk. That is around 4% risk. It might not be worth a high leverage trade, but it might be good for 1x, 2x, 3x possibilities, all depending on where you catch it to the downside. As you go through the rest, Cardano is coming into buy zones, right? If you want to look at stop losses, the way you do it is you look at the last pump, you take Fibonacci, this tool over here, the 4 lines, you take it from bottom to top, okay, and you want to put your stops in this area over here. So you can see they're quite big stops, right? Therefore, not crazy high lev. If you want to trade the same token, but with leverage, you are just going to be a slight bit more patient, okay? You are going to then wait for this to come down. You're going to zoom in, and when it breaks the trend is when you are going to execute and put a stop loss right below. So instead of having a big stop loss, we could be up to 8%, right? There's a little bit more spot entry buys. You can get yourself, by being a bit patient and buying the breakouts, you can end up getting yourself from here to a risk of around 1%. Therefore, you can 5x the coin, right? Again, all comes down to your risk management and how much you want to risk per trade. So a lot of the charts are showing some strength. We had nice double bottoms on Doge. So same thing with Doge. We pull back around probably around about another 3% or so, and then we should see some strong strength to the upside, right? Super Farm, another coin that's looking strong into these zones, really good spot buys as we are seeing them, right? So all these coins that are broken out, put the top trends in, look for the drop off, and that is where you want to pay attention for the execution. Don't chase. Keep yourself nice and strong. And remember, let's see here. Did we reverse now? Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? I'm back at 88 now, man. Okay, so something like this, guys. We'll see now in 25 minutes. Let's see this. If this pulls back, I'm still very bullish. It just means, again, we are fighting for a new entry. So things like this can take me a couple of hours to a couple of days to get the entry, survive the stop, get the entry, survive the stop, lose 3%, get in, fight. If you're one of the last that survived the fight, you are one of those that kind of reaps the rewards that come after that, right? But Zcash is one of the coins that I'm really paying attention to. I see Chainlink had a massive bounce. Again, we have a long way to go, but let's ride this from the bottom. Let's get something in the game, right? If you go through and let's see if there's any coins that have not broken trends yet, right? So if we look at something like Aptos, not the sexiest charts. I wouldn't look to trade this right now other than buying it. Ondo, okay. Let's see this one over here. Render. I don't think Render has broken out yet. So there's a token to pay attention to. Right now, it's still below. So remember, it can have downside, but if it breaks out, that's an opportunity. So what you kind of want to do is go through your alts right now, setting the trends. The ones that are on the other side of the trend, you want to buy retests. Ones that are below the trend, you want to pay attention for breakouts, right? You take in then the percentage of where you'll put your stop losses. That will determine, is this trade a spot trade? Is it a leverage trade? Right? It all comes down to where you're going to put your stop loss and how much risk are you going to take. If it's 5-7% risk, you can't leverage that, but you can spot trade that. If you then zoom in and let it do its thing and break, and you can put a 1% stop loss, you can leverage that, right? And that is the whole power here of you don't really get to choose your leverage. Okay, don't trade at the airport. Who's trading at the airport? Interesting. Another coin that I've been buying quite a bit of spots of, because I am trying to buy some spots, is 𝗁𝗃, guys. 𝗁𝗃's broken out. It's one of the coins that's pulled back quite a bit. I've been holding 𝗁𝗃 for a long time. Okay, but again, I'm seeing some growth here, specifically trades. So 𝗀𝗁, I've bought some in spot now, and I'm looking for a pump up to the areas of the 5-cent mark. This could be up to 100% move, right? Pay attention. 𝗬𝗏 has had a really nice breakout. This is a good retest. My zones here between 1.6 and 1.7, right? For some spot trades on 𝗬𝗏. 𝗬𝗏 is by far one of the strongest bouncers, coming straight back into the major zones, right? I was paying attention to hyperliquid, right? Hyperliquid, there is the trend. Very close to breaking out. Hyperliquid, very good spot trade, right? If you look at ASTER, whatever it's called, right? Very good. Breaking out, there's a spot entry, right? A lot of opportunities, specifically when it comes to your trading accounts. Now, guys, the important announcements. All of you are getting emails today to be onboarded into sniper trading. So anyone that has and remember, this is a new sniper club, the free one for all of you guys, right? If you've joined this community, if you haven't, click this button here, link below in the description, join. You're getting an email today. Make sure you check the email out and get yourself prepped to get your butts into club, which I'm super pumped about. Okay, guys, that is it from me. Lots of love to you all. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys a little bit later tomorrow. Bye-bye.